When we say Aisha was 9 years old, and then we back it up with source after source after source, we get responses from some of our Muslim friends in the chat, and they'll just make things up. They'll make things up about Islam. They'll make things up about Christianity. They'll make things up about the Bible. They'll make things up about the Quran, and they just don't seem to care. Now, guys, you have to pay attention. This is for methodological purposes. Watch what happens here, because we asked for a source. It's very easy to put a bunch of things up on the screen, and if you're not paying attention to actually what's going on, you could fall for it, right? Okay, so let's go through this, Sam. You ready?
Yes, sir.
So this is from Muslim Now. Let's read. Let's go ahead and read through these, because he's going to put all this together and come up with an age of 3 for Rebekah. You ready?
Okay.
1. True or false? Sarah gave birth to Isaac at the age of 90. Genesis 17.
Well, she was 9 years old and Isaac was born.
Well, then you're busted, because let's keep going. 2. Sarah died at the age of 127, according to Genesis 23, 1 through 3. True or false?
Okay, sure.
Okay, aha. Ready. Now, 3. The incident on Mount Moriah, Genesis 22, and the birth of Rebekah happened at the same time.
No.
Yeah, where are you getting that from, dude?
No.
Yeah, where are you getting it from?
Yeah. In fact, CP will take Shahada and say that Allah is Satan and Muhammad is his messenger. If you can show in Genesis 22 that it says Rebekah was born at that time.
Yeah, now guys, see why I said you have to pay very careful attention, right? If the Assyrian Encyclopedia and Christian Prince don't immediately know what you're talking about when you say Rebekah was 3 years old, then you should be thinking there's probably not evidence for it. And then we ask, now notice, guys, the reason I'm pointing this out is, notice when you put something like this on the screen, someone might be looking at this and say, well, he's giving references there. He's giving references, so I guess he's making a slam dunk case here, right? Notice everything depends on number 3 there. The incident on Mount Moriah in Genesis 22 and the birth of Rebekah happened at the same time. When you go down to the bottom, next comment, when Isaac was 36 or 37 years old, same time when Sarah died, Genesis 23. The verses all looked together, tells us that Isaac was 37 years old when Rebekah was born.
He's challenging us to read it. Look, friend, I will take Shahada. Okay, here you go. Okay, okay. He wants to read Genesis chapter 22, 20 to 24. Let's read it. After these things, Abraham was told, Milcah has also borne children to your brother Nahor. Uz, his firstborn, Buz, his brother, Kamul, the father, Aram. Now watch what he did. Kesed, Hazo, Pildash, Jitla, and Bathul.
This is amazing. This is
amazing.
No,
it's 23.
Deception.
Okay. Yeah. Bathul became the father of Rebekah. Milcah gave birth to these 8 to Nahor, Abraham's brother. His concubine, whose name was Ruma, also bore Tiba, Gaham, Tahash, Mecca. He took a passage that talks about that Bathul, who's related to Abraham, was the father, became the father of Rebekah, and assumes it happened that moment.
Yeah, he says, after these things, Abraham was told,
yes,
Milcah has also borne children to your brother Nahor.
Yes.
Then it goes into a genealogy.
Yes.
Then it starts giving the genealogy.
So and then it mentions Bathul became the father of Rebekah, and then it mentions Milcah gave birth to these 8 to Nahor. So it mentions Bathul, who's related to Abraham, that he too had a child. Because why she mentioned? She's going to be important later in the narrative, because Rebekah is going to be the wife of Isaac. But if you just go to Genesis 24, for the life of me, David.
Should we read a little bit of Genesis 24?
Yeah, 24, read. As you read it, here's what I want to understand. How many 3-year-olds go and get water from a well and take care of flocks? Mm-hmm. How many 3-year-olds understand at the age of 3, this man is going to come and ask for my hand in marriage? Maybe in his world, in Islam's world, where you have talking trees and talking stones and food that talk, and Muhammad riding on an animal that's between a donkey and a horse, a mule, and ascends throughout the 7 heavens. Maybe in that world, in that sick world, right? Or when Satan stays in the upper part of your nose and you got to flush him out water, or stars or missiles that you hurl at jinn. In that world, 3-year-olds, go to the wells, draw out water, and take care of flocks. Because I'm sure you had your 3-year-old son doing that too, right?
Yeah, let's go ahead and read some of this. And guys, we're this isn't just nitpicking here, right? I mean, there's the point that's under discussion, but then there's the larger point, which is, why do they do this, guys, right? Yeah. We quote their sources. We tell them what's in their sources. We give them their sources. And then in response, they make up a bunch of stuff and try to misrepresent people that they claim to respect in the Bible, right? What is up with this religion? So let's just read a little bit real quick, and then we'll hand it back to CP. So this is from Genesis 24. The basic idea is Abraham said, go back to my homeland and get a daughter. I mean, get a wife for my son Isaac. So he sends his servant with some stuff. All right, so verse 10. Then the servant took 10 of his master's camels and departed, taking all sorts of choice gifts from his master. And he arose and went to Mesopotamia, to the city of Nahor. And he made the camels kneel down outside the city by the well of water at the time of evening, the time when women go out to draw water. And he said, O Lord, God of my master Abraham, please grant me success today and show steadfast love to my master Abraham. Behold, I am standing by the spring of water, and the daughters of the men of the city are coming out to draw water. Let the young woman, not toddler, not baby, let the young woman to whom I shall say, please let down your jar that I may drink, and who shall say, drink, and I will water your camels. So she's taking up the water pot and carrying it to the camels. Drink, and I will water your camels. Let her be the one to whom you have appointed for your servant, right? Isaac. Has to be. Yeah. By this I shall know that you have shown steadfast love to my master. Before he had finished speaking, behold, Rebekah, who was born to Bethuel, the son of Milcah, the wife of Nahor, Abraham's brother, came out with her water jar on her shoulder. Do you have any idea what a water jar would be that you use to give camels a drink? Yeah. Right? All right.
But 3-year-old, she can do it. She's
got to. Yeah. She's got to, right? Yeah.
Allah has strength.
The young woman was very attractive in appearance, a maiden whom no man had known. Why are they talking about no man knowing her if she's a baby or a toddler? Yeah. She went down to the spring and filled her jar and came up. Then the servant ran to meet her and said, please give me a little water to drink from your jar. She said, drink, my lord. And she quickly let down her jar upon her hand and gave him also a drink. When she had finished giving him a drink, she said, I will draw water for your camels also until they have finished drinking.
A 3-year-old's going to do this.
So she quickly emptied her jar into the trough and ran again to the well to draw water. And she drew for all his camels. The man gazed at her in silence to learn whether the Lord had prospered his journey or not. So keep in mind, right? You don't have a nice little plastic jar like this, right? You're dealing with some really seriously heavy material and enough to water camels. Have any of you ever seen how much a camel can drink? And he's got all of these camels. And so let me get this straight. This little 3-year-old girl is carrying around this giant jar. She's going down, filling this whole thing up with water, enough to go and water a bunch of camels. And she's 3.
But let me explain again. This confirms what CP said. They're illiterate, even though he meant they didn't know the book. He took the annunciation to Abraham. This is how, now I can see why he could misread it this way, because again, he's following Muhammad. He assumed that when the report came to Abraham, Milcah has also borne children to your brother Nahor, that she bore children then. No, there was no internet, there was no email, there was no rapid transportation. The text is simply saying that word got to him at that time that Milcah had given birth.
Yeah, so they're...
but he's taking a no right now, children. So in other words, she dropped out 8 kids that moment. They all came up. Blip, 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 blip.
Notice, so no, they're in a completely different part of the world, right? They're in a different part of the world, his family members. Different part of the world. There is no email. The only time you'll get notification of something is if a traveler eventually shows up and bothers to tell you the news from back home. So he tells her, oh, and by the way, let me tell you what's been going on with the family. Our Muslim friend says, oh, when he says that that Rebekah's been born, this means like right then she's been born, not years earlier, right then. It happened right then, right when all of this was going on. And so we have to read all of this about a young woman who's leading the animals around, doing the farm work, who is 3 years old.
Yeah. So you understand the logic of the Muslim? He takes the report given to Abraham. Hey, Milcah gave birth to your brother Nahor. She's born children to me. Oh, right now? You mean as I was up on the mountain about to kill Isaac, she just popped out 8 kids? As opposed to assuming what the text is saying is, hey, you probably haven't heard. Your brother has children from his wife. It doesn't mean that moment. These kids were born years before, but the word only came to him, got to him at that moment. That's number one. And this proof that it's not saying, the text is not saying that they were born right then, Proof that doesn't mean they were born right then. You read Genesis 24, she's already a mature woman who can carry, what did she carry again, David, on her shoulder?
Bunch of water.
But wait, maybe again, it's possible because remember, Muhammad, his mother was pregnant with him for 4 years before she gave birth to him. In fact, CP.
Let's see if I can get this up on the.
And he's going to put it up. Watch. But CP, here's what I want you to do. As he puts it up, maybe this guy is thinking that this is one of the miracles of Allah. That 3-year-olds can start speaking and do activities that only mature women and men can do. Because isn't it true that according to the Islamic sources, Muhammad's mother was pregnant with him for 4 years?
Yes, and as you see, my friend, Rebekah was very easy for her as a 3 years old to feed or to give water to the camel. Camel only need 200 liters of water, 53 gallons. And Rebekah was doing that. Obviously, Rebekah was very, very young.
Yeah. Superwoman. So notice 53 gallons, and it said in verse 10 that he took 10 camels. So 530 gallons of water that this 3-year-old toddler would have carried. My goodness.
Wait. Do you see what it says there? A typical camel can drink 200 liters, 53 gallons of water in
3 minutes. Okay.
It's a miracle, man. Why are you guys laughing, man? Wow.
The miracle toddler.
I actually feel stupid for him. I feel stupid on your behalf. But tell us about the miracle of Muhammad's mother being pregnant with Muhammad for 4 years.
Well, I think this is a very amazing miracle because obviously, if you are a prophet, you need to stay extra because Allah will install like antenna, fast speed internet, fast processor to receive inspiration, to be able to be squeezed by the angel Jibreel, so you can fly even to the space. He's not like us. Actually, there's no way Muhammad can be the son of a guy, his name is Abdullah. You see in Arabic, when somebody is unknown, you can ask any Arab, unknown person, they call him the son of Abdullah, which means a son of a slave of Allah. You know what I mean?
It's not even a name. It means that you're a slave of Allah.
Yeah, because you're not known.
Yeah.
You're not known. If you are not known, so they say, well, he is a son of a slave of Allah, Ibn Abdullah. So he is a son of. Who is he? We do not know. And this is why you see even the Quran confirm that sometime Muhammad, his name is Muhammad, sometime his name is Ahmed, sometime his name is Mustafa, sometime he have 99 names. So what is the real name of Muhammad? Obviously none of those names. And actually even Islamic scholars, they come and they say that Muhammad's real name was Qatham.
Yeah.
And the reason I believe strongly that Muhammad cannot be son of a man his name is Abdullah, because how Abdullah, his name is Abdullah, but yet he don't believe in Allah.
Explain that to me, CP, because the beauty of Islam, it makes irrationality look logical. So how can that be, CP? He's slave of Allah, but he died a kafir, a pagan?
Well, isn't it Muhammad, he says, Abi wa abuka fi nar?
Yes, I'm Muslim. Yeah.
My father and your father in the hellfire. So how is a slave of Allah, yet he is going to go to hell? Secondly, he will go to hell for what? And at that time, there is no prophet. You see, isn't it the Quran says Allah will not judge any nation unless he sent them a prophet?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Correct? Okay. So who is the one who came as a prophet to the tribe of Muhammad before Muhammad to tell them what is the true Islam? If there is, then there is no need for Muhammad.
Thank you.
Right?
Yeah.
And in the same time, the Muslims, they say Ishmael he came. Correct? Don't they say Ishmael he came to Mecca?
Yes.
Okay. But what the Quran says we never send a messenger or a prophet unless he is from the people, speaking the tongue of the people. So, Ishmael, neither Abraham, neither Isaac, neither any of those, They are from the Arab or speak the tongue of the Arab. Even in Islamic books, they say that Ishmael, he learned the Arabic in the age of 14 years old. Some they say 11. Chapter 14, verse number 4 says, we never send a messenger unless he speak the tongue of his people. So how anyone can go to hell, if we ask Muhammad, if he have, like he never been sent a warner? Which verse is speaking about warner Muslims? Anyone can tell us? We never judge a nation unless we send them a warner. Okay, who is the warner for the father of Muhammad before Muhammad? If you will say none, then how he will go to hell?
Precisely. By the way, CP, the Christians are still shocked. They're now expecting the next Marvel movie to be about Rebekah, because the 3-year-old Rebekah puts Captain Marvel to shame, She-Hulk a shame, and Wonder Woman. So guys, the next Marvel movie is going to be about Rebekah, right? Because Rebekah, stronger than Superman, Wonder Woman, Captain Marvel combined. Captain Marvel ain't got nothing on Rebekah. This again shows you how desperate these people are. Like Sam O'Day says, do the math! Do the math! You see, she was born at that time. Let me repeat again. The point of Genesis 22, if you just read it, it's not saying...
that's what I mean. They're not reading it. They're going to a website and cutting and pasting. Tell me you're not doing that, Sam O'Day.
Of course he's doing
Lie to me and tell me you're not just going to some website and cutting and pasting. Yeah. Because if you would read the text, that's not what it says. Yeah. It's not what it says.
Let me emphasize for the Christians here. This is why I was taken back and I got shocked when I look. I go, serious? The text is saying that word got to Abraham.
He's just repeating what we just went through.
Let me emphasize it. Let me emphasize for the Christians. Christians, word. The only thing the text is saying is that word got to Abraham at that time. Your brother Nahor, he's got children because his wife gave birth to children. It's not saying, oh, Abraham, by the way, when you're on the mountain, miraculously, at that moment, Nahor slept with his wife and she popped out 8 babies. Bam, 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 bam. This is the miracle of Allah. We understand the context, if you're going to read it honestly, that there is no email. There is no, UPS. We didn't have the mail system that we have now, mail service. They had no social media, Facebook. It takes time for word to travel. So all the text is saying, and if you understand why the text is saying it, because now that Abraham knows, hey, my brother has children, that means when Isaac gets mature enough, the age of marriage, I won't marry him off to a Canaanite. I can get him a wife from my father's house because now my brother has children. But it doesn't say she gave birth that moment. It says the report came to Abraham at that moment that his brother has children. Not he had children at that moment. But it's, again, an example of what we said. You guys are so shameless and so wicked and dishonest. It's got to be spiritual. The same spirit that possessed Muhammad, that evil spirit, is possessing you to pervert scriptures, but it's only humiliating you, your prophet, and your God.
Yeah, guys, this is. I mean, I don't know how you can't get this right. It's saying a traveler came from a long, long, long way away, and he said, "Oh, and by the way, children have been born." The Muslims are reading that and going, "Oh, this means that she was born right then, so we can put this together." Not, "Hey, I'm giving you the news of your family because you haven't heard the news for many years because you left that land a long, long time ago. You left that land a long, long time ago. You haven't been there in decades. I'm telling you the news from your homeland." And they say, "Oh, it says Rebekah was born. That means right then that she's born right when this guy is speaking." This is amazing.
I swear to you, I went like, how computer shuts down? I shut down for a second. That's why I was like, what?
I don't know. And notice, guys, they're all doing this. We don't do this with your sources. We don't do this with your sources. Why do you do it with our sources? Because you have to? All right. Go ahead, CP.
Go ahead, CP. Sorry, man. This is your time, but you see what the Muslims are doing.